on, it's the RapNerd, and as I usually do with all my spoiler reviews, I do them while I'm driving in the car because I get my thoughts off the best. So I'm here today to talk about Dune. This is just kind of a review / discussion because my initial review, I didn't say much of anything about the movie besides how amazing it was. And now that the film is released worldwide over the weekend, I feel like it is free game for spoilers. So if you've not seen Dune Part 2, go watch it, come back to this, add to the discussion. As I've said in my first review, I saw it again Friday, and it just solidified everything that I said and felt when I saw it on the 25th. This is an amazing movie. I think it's one of the best movies ever made, and I also think it's the best space opera ever made. It is a true testament that anything of a creator's imagination can be put on screen. I feel like there's no movie that cannot be made after seeing what Dune just did, from mad different standpoints, from creating your own lore to having the wackiest lore ever. I mean, Lady Jessica drank piss from a worm, and it affected her pregnant baby to the point where her and the baby could speak back and forth. And for them to put that on screen and make it so believable and lean into it, it just shows you anything can be done. As long as you have the right vision, the right writing, and the cast and crew that believe in that vision so much that everyone's giving it their all. So, yeah, the first thing I got to talk about is Paul Atreides and Timothy, how you pronounce his name? Chalamet. His performance, man, like, it's night and day. I didn't really realize how quick of a switch and how much of a switch it was until I rewatched it again. The first half, like, I'm with him. I'm like, yo, he understands that, like, yo, I'm no savior. Like, and I think it was dope for him to lean into that, saying that their savior should be one of their own. Wow. Because in the first film, a lot of critique of it was, not a lot, but I saw people talking about it's a white savior, saving people of color, which, the Freemen are all people of color, which to me makes sense. I saw a little bit of stuff here and there as to, that aspect, but I'm like, in the 80s version, everybody was white, so don't give that no shit or nothing. I feel like Denis was being very accurate to what the people would look like who lived under those circumstances. I mean, even now, if you look at where, this takes place, like in North Africa and Middle East, they all look like that because of what the atmosphere, that's not what I'm going to say, but what the terrain is and all of that. So I think that's the reason why they look like that. But I'm glad to see that Paul himself even kind of realized, like, I can't rule over people that are not mine. They need somebody else to lead them into battle. And he holds on to that so hard, you know what I mean? Like, he's just like, I can't go down south because it's gonna be bad if I go. I just can't. I just can't. And I had kind of forgot the detail of why he ended up going in my first watch, because I was like, I didn't remember, but seeing it the second time, I was like, he was literally forced into this position, Stigler was hurt, and he was like, no, take my place, which is funny because Stigler still went. it was more of him throwing his hand in destiny, I believe. So he forced him to go down there, and as soon as he, gets brought back from the dead, total switch. I mean, the way he walks in that room and commands everything, and he the first thing he says is, no one in this room can stand amongst me. Woo! Everybody stood up, pulled their blades out, and he started just speaking from his vision after taking, the sandworm serum. It was just like, walked up to my mans and told him a whole story about what his mom did, got smashed in the eye with, I forgot what it was, and back then there was a Freeman named Dune. I was like, woo, this is acting right here. That scene gave me chills, and I love when he just was like, I am Paul Atreides. As the hand of God is my witness, I am the voice of the outer world. I will lead you to paradise. Oh, God, It got goosebumps when he said that. It was so good. He performed that shit so well. And from that point on, Paul was just like, oh, I think the audience was Shawnee. I believe her. That's what our character was seeing it through her eyes, because all of these moments of Paul just doing this stuff, it would always cut back to Shawnee, and you would see her face kind of like, this motherfucker is wilding out. He just said that he didn't want the power, but now he acts like he's wanting the power. And it's just an interesting concept. I feel like the whole story, you gotta excuse me, I'm going through this little neighborhood, but the whole movie, I feel like, is the identity of power, and it plays in so many different directions, where you have power that can be abused, and then you have the Southern freemen who are traditionalists, who are no better than Jesus freaks, I would say, or religion freaks, period, who just believe in the word so much that they don't care. Even when the writing on the wall says that this is going to end bad, they still press on and believe when they really shouldn't. So I really enjoy that message of power this movie sends. But man, the way Paul just does that, it's kind of like once that switch flips, it's him using that power to manipulate exactly what is it not Gunter? What is his name? So it starts with a G, but Josh Brolin's character, who was like, use it to your, to your abilities, man. Like, you got 2,000 men, and we got these nukes. Use that shit. And he did exactly that. And I just like, Paul's spin the block game is crazy, Aki. This man manipulated the freemen to fight for him, and they even put up the Atreides flag. I was like, it was right in the sandworms, and you see it from the distance, the Atreides flag flapping. I was like, whoa, this is nuts. So that had to be spoken about, bro. And then oh god, that was just so good. And just the interweaving of like all of these politics being played with the Reverend Mothers, and how they are controlling it behind the scenes. This movie was just amazing. I just never seen a space film deal with politics at such a level of seriousness that it just feels like a political thriller, but at the same time has the action to keep you like satisfied. Like, I was thoroughly satisfied with the action. The action was phenomenal, way better than the first. I love that Denis did a lot of like oneers where you see everything, like when the Furman popped up out of the sand on the first attack of the harvesters, and it was just a long cut of just, man, all that. Oh my god, and the way the action was even handled, it was like sand ninjas, like people doing flips and acrobatics and all of these martial art moves, roundhouse kicks. Like, I love that kind of visual flair to choreography. I love that shit, man. So I was really stoked to see how the action was handled this go around. Like, they really sold how skilled and of the land, which made them such a force to be dealt with, of the freemen, sand power, desert power. Like, we saw it firsthand in many different ways. Like, every time I said the freemen a second ago, every time the Furman attacked, it was always them having the up and up, Like, I love, like, when Batista's character showed up, I forgot his name, but when he showed up, trying to talk his shit and yell and all this other bullshit he'd be on, you see that they have nothing on them. Like at no point in the movie did anybody get the upper hand on the Furman while in Arrakis. This is their planet. You're not gonna pull up on them and think that you can get away with it. It's not gonna happen. Even from the start of the movie, like when the first Harkonnens came, and how they just got decimated like completely by the Furman, just shows the power. And that opening sequence, oh my god, like, you want to talk about a tone setter, holy shit. I remember watching that for the first time, just kind of like not expecting that to happen. I just didn't know. So it was just layer after layer, shit just kept happening, where I was like, okay. And I remember I'm watching, and the Furman are like looking over the hills and ducking, and they go hide away, in different areas. And the Harkonnens are like, oh shit, they let some thumpers out. let's climb up this hill. Oh no, let's climb up this rock. And when he said climb, I'm thinking he's literally gonna walk up to it and like climb up it manually. This motherfucker jumped and floated. I was like, holy shit. And then excuse me, Denis has the audacity to cut back to a wide and showing these dudes floating up the rock in like just epic scale. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. They get up there and start dropping like flies, like, and I mean, the way that, like, oh my God, it was so good. Like Denis' direction is just so incredible, because I've always thought this about them, is like he finds these ways to make moments so intimate, even on a bigger scale, like showing the first shot of the first Harkonnen like falling over the rock. You know, the camera tips over and you see him fall, and then it cuts down to where Paul and Lady Jessica are. It's just, the body is just like boom, and you feel the impact of the body hitting the ground, and more bodies just keep dropping and dropping. Like, that is incredible direction. Holy moly. Just what a way to put you into a scene. Such a small scene in the film felt intensified, and oh my God, like that moment I was like, we are in for something different here. We're in for it. So I say all that to say the action just was incredible. And like the third act fight, when they pulled up on those sandworms, and the way Denis captured that scale, both ground level with the not the Harkonnens, I forgot what the cats in the white suits are, but just showing it from their perspective, like, you know, you're on the ground looking up with them, and you see this, you know, this wave of sand, and then this fucking big ass sandworm just comes out of the sand and it cuts back to the wide of all three. Woo! Man. And listening to Denis talk about it, just for saying like he wanted to create this level of intimacy, like I said earlier, with the scale. Like he would cut back and forth from wides to close-ups to really put you in the in the feet of these characters, to realize how big everything was. And that's just like the part of the movie that just blew me away, just how the scale was captured and how big things were. Like, this is the first film that I fully understood the scale of like space for real. And that's not saying much, because I'm not a Star Wars guy. Admittedly, I'm just not into it for whatever reason. But really, it's because I just haven't gotten the Star Wars movie I like Rogue One a lot, because Rogue One to me operates in a similar way to this movie, how it's taken utterly seriously, and it's space politics, and it's just different. I just find that movie to be different. Like I actually like that one a lot. But I feel the grandeur scale of the film, man. And I just love how every single character who is on screen serves a really big purpose to the story moving on. There's no wasted moments, no wasted characters, no wasted dialogue. Speaking of characters, Fade, to introduce him like that, holy shit. The writing of which, the way this goes, where the Reverend Mother, and I forgot Florence's character, talking, and she was like, the Emperor's gonna fall, and we're gonna let Fade be the Emperor. And Florence just turns to her like, Fade? He's a psychopath. He's a murderous psychopath. And they just had this discussion about him, already painting the picture of just how crazy it is. So once they cut to him in his intro of him being in this dark room with dead bodies, and him like feeling his blades and putting it on his tongue and cutting somebody's throat, like, holy shit. And then to go from that to the Coliseum, oh my God. And there's like a moment, right, in the Coliseum fight when he's taking on the last Atreides, and he has the knife close to him, and Fade kind of just laughs. He's like and you can see him like drooling from the thrill, and it's just like, little stuff like that makes such a big difference in the characters, yo. I just absolutely love that. Shit. And him and Paul's last fight was nothing short of amazing. Denis cut the music, and the fight choreography was outstanding. I didn't know what to expect from it, but just the fact that it still kept that same visual flair of everything that we saw, you know, earlier in the film, I loved it. You know, Paul still being acrobatic, Fade being as vicious with the knife as he was in the Coliseum. This shit just was amazing, yo. Like, I'm all over the place because this movie took me all over the place. I've been dreaming about this film since I saw it on the 25th. Like, oh my God, I'm about to get overcome with emotion because I think every filmmaker, right? Not filmmaker, I think every film lover has a movie or movies that the experience of it was so overwhelmingly good, like it either almost or it did move you emotionally. And this movie did that for me a few times. Like, personally, the first time it really, like, I was getting like, oh shit, like the emotions are like bubbling in me, and I was almost about to tear up. I think I did tear up. Was when Paul first rode the sandworm. Like that was just such a like moment of like impact, you know, because it's always good to see, and it's fulfilling and such an emotional thing when you see like the protagonist of the time. Of course, as the movie goes on, he changes, which I think is just such a way to do this film. But the protagonist overcome something that's so large in scale, because like I haven't gotten the feeling of that since I watched Man of Steel, when Superman did the first flight. I had the same exact feeling. I remember just being on my seat like, oh my God, like what is going on? Like I'm feeling something in my heart. Like I'm like about to like just explode with excitement, and just overjoyed with like hopefulness and all this other stuff. Like, oh my God, it's getting to me now thinking about First Flight and this at the same time. But just an outstanding film from top to finish. Denis is one of my favorite directors, period, now. Like, I gotta put respect on the guy's name. Not to say I didn't respect him, because Blade Runner 2049 was probably one of my favorite sci-fi. It still is, but once Dune came out, I was like, holy shit. That one hopped over Blade Runner, and then this one's hopping over that to be like my favorite space opera, period. Honestly, my favorite spacebound movie is Dune Part 2. Like, I don't know how he did it, but holy moly. Love this film. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna, oh my God, I adore this movie. Like, I've already pre-ordered the Steelbook. I want every version of this film. I already got the poster. I got a t-shirt coming in. Like, this movie just did something to me. Man. Like, this, man, what a movie, man. Like, oh boy. The artist in me, the creative in me, like, just, oh my God, like, it makes you a believer. Like I said, like, any movie can be made, any idea can be made. Ah, boy, why am I doing this? But damn, like, I want, like this is what movies are about, yo. Like, speaking to people this way, and I just like want that for myself, man. Like, and everybody else who is a creator, like, Denis crushed this shit for all of the artists out there, yo. Like, his unencumbered, uninterrupted vision just is fucking immaculate. I hope it makes $1 billion. I hope Hollywood sees this and and understands like how important it is for artists to do their thing. You know what I mean? So, wow, just what a movie, and it just stands for the creators. I feel like it's the film of the decade. I don't see anything passing it unless Messiah does release this decade and just blows it out the water. Best movie of the decade, hands down. One of the best movies I've ever seen. One of the best film experiences I've ever had. Just love it. Let me know in the comments about what you think your favorite parts of the movie. This is a spoiler review, so discussion, and we just add to the discussion. And I just want to like praise this movie because of just how outstanding it was, man. So anyway, I've talked enough. It's been about 20 minutes, so I'm gonna get out here and let you get back to your life. If you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, thank you. Until next time, peace. RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy.